So again, this is a series of videos that will involve me, reading either questions or comments from listeners on my channel that stimulated a particular reply by me that might connote some useful perspective to folks trying to understand the nature of Buddhism and the Buddhadharma. Again, not that I have any particular advanced expertise or credentials, but it's just sort of grist for the mill, things to think about and to reflect on and to form your own opinions on as you study this wonderful religious tradition. So the first one I want to focus on is a comment actually made by a listener, a subscriber, who said Mahasattva Bodhisattva means cosmic celestial bodhisattva. And my reply or comment was, I too have somehow been drawn to this descriptive term, cosmic, especially in the context of a vast vision such as what we see here in the Avatamsaka. And this was in the context of a video about Samantabhadra's vows within the Avatamsaka Sutra. But even beyond this sutra, I think of all the Sambhogakaya Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as cosmic. To me, they are in the spiritual realm, bliss bodies in the sense that they give us comfort, assistance, assurances, and happiness. So, first of all, Mahasattva Bodhisattva, of course, means great being, great enlightening being, not a mere ordinary bodhisattva, if you will, but a great bodhisattva. And there are a half dozen or so of them that I particularly think of and revere, frankly, and admire their attributes, the kinds of characteristics that they represent. And this is part of the meaning and the attraction to me of these cosmic bodhisattvas, is that they represent role models relative to these various and sundry attributes. And one of them, of course, is Samantabhadra. There is a section, I think, at the end of the Avatamsaka Sutra that articulates in detail Samantabhadra's famous vows, his 10 elaborated vows. And these become the model for frankly, all bodhisattvas or bodhisattva aspirants. The thing also about Samantabhadra is that within the Threefold Lotus Sutra, the third of the three sutras, is about Samantabhadra. It's a meditation on this bodhisattva Samantabhadra, who I think in English his name would be universal worthy or universal good. And he's a bodhisattva of action. And some of the action that he engages in is to, frankly, protect the people who in turn revere and look to the Lotus Sutra as a profound and important spiritual text. Supposedly, as I recall the meditation also, if they are teaching about the sutra, the Lotus Sutra, or forget a word or a phrase, he sort of reminds them of it and assists them in that way. But that role of sort of being a key personage in the context of the profound and wonderful Lotus Sutra is certainly an additional reason why I personally revere him, because I revere the Lotus Sutra. But getting back to the term, it relates to this Trikaya doctrine within Buddhism, the idea of the three bodies of the Buddha. There's the Dharmakaya, the Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. The Dharmakaya is beyond all words and concepts. There's no concept, no idea, because all ideas are dualistic by definition, right? There's no concept or idea that we can use to characterize the Dharmakaya or the law body. This Buddha body, well, it's beyond all reckoning in terms of our thinking mind. And I think in terms of Christianity is known as the Godhead. That's the thing of it, is these ideas, these concepts, even the non-concept concepts, are ones that, believers or spiritual seekers in different religious traditions have struck upon in their own experience, as the Lankavatara would say, their own inner realization of noble wisdom. And so it's not surprising that we would see other major religious traditions come up with a term also to refer to this being that really it can't even be described as a being. I had a close friend. He recently, unfortunately, passed away, and he was a Baha'i. I think I've mentioned him perhaps before in passing. And what the Baha'is talk about is the unknowable essence. And of course, when we read Nagarjuna, he talks about, the truth is not this, it's not that, it's not the other thing, it's not that thing, it's not that thing, it's not that thing. So again, the element of a Buddha body that cannot be characterized by any attributes is the Dharmakaya. And presumably everything flows from the Dharmakaya, namely the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya are emanations, the way I think of it, emanations of the Dharmakaya, and the Sambhogakaya in particular, the bliss body. This is what I think of as the spiritual level. And within that level of spirit, if you will, non-incarnate, are these figures that we can imagine. Now, do they have a concrete existence? No. But again, they represent attributes and characteristics that do resonate within the heart of a religious seeker or a spiritual person as having a certain truth associated with them that has validity at another level than merely the material. I'm going to get back to the Sambhogakaya, but just to fill out the picture, of course, the Nirmanakaya is I guess you'd say, the physical incarnation of Buddha, like Sakyamuni Buddha. He was a Nirmanakaya. And the Dharmakaya, if you will, emanates and manifests itself as a Nirmanakaya because why? Well, we humans, we have an easier time listening to and understanding teachings that come from a person who looks like us and who verbalizes like us, who thinks like us, or at least seems to think like us, even though the Buddha's way of thinking is beyond all dualistic thought. But again, back to the Sambhogakaya, the listener here in this comment says, Mahasattva Bodhisattva means cosmic celestial Bodhisattva. And he's, of course, referring here to Samantabhadra. And as I said in my reply, I like the word cosmic. There's a whole pantheon within Buddhism of cosmic Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And, some Buddhist schools tend to revere one Buddha as the supreme, one cosmic Buddha as supreme. Other schools characterize a different Buddha perhaps as the ultimate Sambhogakaya, if you will. I can speak mainly from the standpoint of Pure Land Buddhism or true Shin Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu, where we see Amida Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, as the quintessential Buddha, if you will, the quintessential cosmic Buddha. And we see, if I'm not mistaken, in my understanding of some of the Shin Buddhist writings, that we would see all other cosmic Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in a sense as emanations of Amida, okay? And Amida is characterized by certain attributes, namely infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. And some of these cosmic bodhisattvas, the archetypal ones, they represent some of these attributes of Amida. So we have Kuan Yin or Avalokiteshvara. He, or if you want to think of him as a female, it would be she, because the figure evolved from male to female form as the figure went from India to China. Avalokiteshvara or Kuan Yin, both of which mean regarder of the cries of the world, she represents infinite compassion. She is the embodiment of the that desire to save all sentient beings that is the essence of why Dharmakara in his causal stage made a vow that he would not become a Buddha unless he could create a pure land where all beings, merely by having faith in him, could be reborn there when they die. So again, Kuan Yin, infinite compassion, and then we have Mahastama Prompta, who's the representation of wisdom. And you often have that triad. I love Buddhist art. And often what we see are the Buddha with two flanking bodhisattvas. And typically one does, I think, represent compassion and one represents wisdom. But of course, another cosmic bodhisattva that's more well known, I think, than Mahastama Prompta is Manjushri. And Manjushri is the embodiment of infinite wisdom, wisdom being prajna, being that insight, that non-dualistic consciousness, that insight, again, that reality can't be characterized by any definitive discrimination of things or persons that implies a separation between this versus that. And each of these, of course, within their iconographic forms has different characteristics in art. Kuan Yin has many, many different characteristics. Manjushri, of course, he carries his sword, which I think is to cut through any dualistic illusions or delusions. So we have Samantabhadra, we have Avalokiteshvara or Kuan Yin, we have Manjushri, we have Mahastama Prompta, and there are a couple of other prominent ones like Jizo or Earth Store Bodhisattva. I'll probably talk about him at some point. I'm trying to think off the top of my head of others. Those are the main ones that come to my mind. So again, there's no person that lives in a particular state in the United States of America or in a country in Europe or any place in the world, in China or India, where we can say, oh, that person is Manjushri or that person is Samantabhadra. In the context of the Mahayana scriptures or Mahayana sutras, these are cosmic or spiritual beings, and whole systems of reverence and ritual have developed in the context of these beings that give comfort to humans, give comfort to us, and also serve as role models for us as we muddle through, really, and try to make our own way in this life of birth and death, this world of samsara, of suffering. Suffering, why? Because even if things are going well for us, even if we're young and healthy and have money and, well-educated, a good career, whatever we have, it's impermanent. Things are going to change. And oftentimes, I think it's not until people experience hardship and suffering that they really have the potential to maybe develop a deeper insight into the spiritual nature of things and realize that salvation or enlightenment through one's own self-power is a futile kind of endeavor. And of course, that again is the essence of the Shin Buddhist belief system. So anyhow, I was saying something about the primary Buddha within Shin Buddhism being Amida Buddha, but then you have Shingon or esoteric Buddhism, where the main Buddha is Vairocana Buddha or Vairocana Buddha. And of course, while I personally, and this is idiosyncratic to me, I think, I don't know if others, I've not really read this, that view the 16th chapter of the Lotus Sutra as implying that the Buddha of eternal life is actually Amida Buddha. I think the more common interpretation there is that in the 16th chapter, when there is the revelation, really, that the Buddha's life goes beyond the scope of merely the 85 years that Shakyamuni Buddha lived on this earth, that reference to a Buddha of eternal life, many view as actually the reality of who Sakyamuni Buddha was. He was not merely that Nirmanakaya that we had the benefit of knowing on this earth for that relatively short amount of time, but that he existed long before that and had frankly trained many bodhisattvas in an earlier time who, within the Lotus Sutra, he calls upon to, to help spread the Dharma in such a way that he doesn't actually need a lot of the people in the assemblage, because again, he had that entourage that came up out of the earth and were prepared to really carry on the banner of rolling the great Dharma wheel. And that's what it's all about, is rolling the Dharma wheel, trying to share Buddhism, not in the sense of proselytizing or, pressing anybody to, believe what we believe. This fellow, I can't recall his name, has this nice Buddhist podcast called Secular Buddhism Podcast. And at the beginning of every episode, he says, Buddhism, the purpose of this podcast is not to make you a Buddhist, but to make you a better whatever you are. And of course, he's referencing something that the Dalai Lama said along those same lines. And isn't that a wonderful aspect of our particular tradition, that, we're not, most of the sects and schools within our tradition, there may be one or two exceptions, while we're a missionary religion in the sense that we do want to expose people to it and spread it to the extent that people find resonance with our belief systems and ways of approaching spirituality, that to use the baseball metaphor, we don't play hardball. We don't try to push people or coerce people into believing what we believe. It's a take it or leave it kind of thing. I think Shinran, actually, in one of the chapters of the Tani show there toward the end, I think he said, or at least was said to have said by Yenbo, who composed the Tani show, he said, these people are coming from all over. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And, they're wanting to know from me what the secret is, if you will, to rebirth in a pure land. And he said, I can't really tell them. In other words, I can only tell them what a teacher told me, which is that, if I say the Nembutsu and have faith in the vow that Amida made regarding our rebirth, that's all I know. And that, if they want more detailed analysis, they can go to the experts, the scholars over on Mount High or in Nara or wherever. But at the end of the day, each individual has to make their own decision. They have to come to their own conclusion about the nature of reality, the nature of salvation, the nature of spirituality. And for me, for myself, to indulge, if you will, in the imagined existence of these spiritual Sambhogakaya Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, that resonates with me and is something that I think is kind of cool about Buddhism. Listen, I've gone on too far, too long, and so just to echo Shinran, I mean, I don't know what the truth is really. I mean, how can we really articulate it? But we are a type of species that has a need for some kind of conceptual understanding of where we stand. We're aware of ourselves. We've got self-awareness. And so, who are we? Who am I? How do I fit into the universe? And so I think religion or spirituality can help create a worldview, of a format, a way of thinking, and a way of acting and practicing that reflects a worldview and a belief system. And hopefully it's one that does embody compassion and wisdom, that does help our fellow beings, and just as in the eightfold path in terms of livelihood, does not harm other beings as we again muddle through in the course of our day-to-day existence. That's my hope for myself and my hope for each of you. Namo Mita Boots. Namo Mita Boots. Namo Mita Boots.